Good afternoon, everyone. We'll get started in a moment.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Katrina, and I'll be your moderator today. Je serai votre modératrice aujourd'hui. Thank you for joining us for today's media availability to provide an update on O-Train Line 1. Merci de vous joindre à nous pour ce point de presse afin de faire le point sur les changements apportés à la ligne 1 de l'O-Train. Our media availability is available in either French or English. If you would like your audio interpretation, you can click the globe icon at the bottom of your screen and choose the language of your choice. Ce point de presse est disponible en français ou en anglais. Si vous souhaitez bénéficier d'une interprétation audio, cliquez sur l'icône de globe dans le menu du bas et sélectionnez la langue de votre choix. Our media availability will include opening remarks from Troy Charter, Interim General Manager of Transit Services. Sabrina Pazian and Joel Lemieux and Troy will all be available for questions today. Le point de presse aujourd'hui comprendra des remarques préliminaires de Troy Charter, directeur général par intérim, service de transport en commun. Sabrina Pazian, Joel Lemieux et Troy sera disponible pour répondre à vos questions aujourd'hui. I'll pass things over to Troy now.
Thank you, Katrina. Good afternoon and bon après-midi. Thank you for joining us for the update on our progress to increase the O-Train Line 1 capacity, as well as about our bus service delivery action plan. Merci de vous être joints à nous pour cette mise à jour sur nos progrès visant à augmenter la capacité de la ligne de l'O-Train et sur notre plan d'action pour la prestation de services.
Thanks for joining us this afternoon for our action plan.
By my colleague Sabrina Pazian, who is our Chief Safety Officer, as well as Joel Lemieux, our Director of Transit Service Delivery and Rail Operations. Before I share the update on Line 1 service, I once again would like to take a moment to speak directly to our customers. I'd like to start off by saying, thank you for your patience during this difficult and I know frustrating time. I know this is frustrating. This is very disruptive to your day, especially with the snowy and very cold days that we're having. I know the important role that transit plays in your daily lives. I've experienced it firsthand with my family over the years, and I also know the potential that reliable transit can bring to our city. I promise you that everyone at OC Transpo is focused on stabilizing and improving the service for you as quickly as we can. We can, and we will do better for our customers. I also want to stress that we will never compromise on the safety, and we will hold our contractors accountable to meet our customers' expectations for a safe, reliable, and customer-focused service. That is mine and the entire team's promise to you. With respect to the rail service, yesterday Line 1 operated with a mix of single and double car trains. We did see a large number of customers on trains, but no unsafe crowding at stations. And this was very great to see. Your efforts to make sure you're standing behind the yellow line at platforms and being mindful of not holding doors when boarding is very helpful in keeping our reduced number of trains running as smoothly as possible. Thank you. To better support our customers today, we have adjusted our operations to increase train frequency to every 3 to 4 minutes at the peak periods and looking to adjust frequency at certain off-peak times as well. This means less waiting for everyone and less crowding. We did see some evidence of confusion yesterday around where to wait on the platform. I recommend that customers look for those TransSecure signs, which are located approximately in the middle of those platforms, as our trains will always stop there. As well, our team is monitoring the system in real time, and the last update I received is that service is going well today, and there's no major crowding that has been observed. As the week comes to a close, I know many customers are wondering what line service will be like for the weekend, as well as into next week and on Monday. Line 1 service this weekend is not changing. Service will run at the planned 10-minute frequency and the same hours of operation. For Monday, we estimate that we could have as many as 20 vehicles available for service, and that means we'll continue to operate at the increased 3 to 4 minute frequency that is in place today. As a reminder, lines 2 and 4 are operating as planned and are not affected by this issue. I know that everyone has many technical questions for us, and that this issue is complex with many streams of work that's being done in parallel. This is why we'll be inviting members of council and the media to a technical briefing next week, where we'll have the opportunity to provide a full technical discussion of this Line 1 issue and to take questions from councillors as well as the media. This technical briefing, as well as these updates, are part of our commitment to transparency and ensuring that the council and the public have a clear understanding of what is happening to their rail system. In the meantime, there's a few key items that I would like everyone to know. Our maintainer has advised that the replacement of the older cartridge bearing assemblies, or CBAs as we refer to them, has commenced. There are 18 vehicles available for service, with 41 vehicles that are planned to have their CBAs replaced that exceed the 100,000 kilometers. This work is complex and is time consuming, but we are working with Rideau Transit Group and their subcontractor to build an accurate picture of the number of available trains for the near future. This forecast will allow us to give our customers more information to help them plan their daily commutes. RTG has informed us that they are bringing in additional expertise on bearings as well as monitoring techniques. As well, RTG is proceeding with the investigation of multiple CBAs as part of their root cause analysis. International expertise is being brought in to support this analysis. Finally, our maintainers confirmed that they're continuing in parallel to investigate measuring and monitoring tools to allow for the early detection of the cartridge bearing assembly, which includes the spalling. And if this is proven effective, will allow us to extend and possibly even remove this 100,000 kilometer limitation. So I know that this is a lot of information, and we'll elaborate upon all of this at our upcoming technical briefing. Before I move on to talk about bus service, I just want to quickly summarize some of the main points. As I said, today we have 18 vehicles that are available for service. We have increased frequency for customers to help get them on their way as quickly as possible. Next week, we estimate that there will be 20 vehicles available for service, which will provide more stability to our service. However, the situation remains fluid. Like any fleet of vehicles, whether it be buses or trains, there are inspections and other preventive maintenance cycles that also must be followed and considered. In parallel, we are working with our partners to determine the cause of this issue and to develop monitoring and measuring tools to manage it. We have made progress, but more time is needed before we can bring service on Line 1 back to normal levels. So I'll now turn over to talk a little bit about the bus service action plan. Our data from the week of January 11th to 17th shows an average of 498 buses were available every day. As you'll remember from our update last week, there was a temporary bus requirement of 500 as we stabilize our bus availability. There was also a decrease in the number of undelivered trips to 5%. While this shows incremental progress on bus service delivery, our urgency and focus has not changed. Our priority remains on increasing our fleet health and working to have the required number of buses available for service. Our frontline maintenance team is fully engaged in working overtime to keep the buses on the road serving our customers. I want to thank them all for their dedication. We are also working with outside vendors to complete some of the maintenance work required on the buses. The snow this week, as well as the harsh cold that are creating some additional pressures on our fleet, but every action is being taken to maximize the number of buses that are available for service. But again, I can't stress this enough, we will not compromise on safety. Our expert mechanics and maintenance staff take great pride in their work, and no bus leaves our property without meeting our highest standards for safety. As a reminder, our website, octranspo.com, is being updated with our latest metrics, as well as updates on our service. And before I conclude, I want to again thank the customers for their patience. I know and appreciate that disruption is having on your lives, but we have strong plans to improve both our bus and rail service. We are making progress, and we will continue to keep you informed. Avant de conclure, je tiens à nouveau à prendre le temps de remercier les clients pour leur patience.
Before I conclude, I'd like to thank passengers for their patience. I understand the disruption that causes in your life, but we have plans to improve rail and bus service as well. We're making progress, and we will continue to keep you informed.
Thank you. And I'll now hand things back over to Katrina. My team and I are here to take some questions. Katrina?
Thank you. I will invite each agency in alphabetical order to ask one question and one follow-up. Je vais inviter chaque organisme de presse par ordre alphabétique à poser une question et un suivi. We'll start with Arthur White-Crummy from CBC.
Hi, thanks, Troy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. I don't see how we can have 41 of 59 vehicles, 70%, out of commission and still operate this system at anything even approximating a normal level of service, which somehow it seems like you're still almost managing to do. So can you explain, like, are some of these vehicles redundant? Are they here because of the extensions to the east and west? And if that's the case, how can we still open the east extension in the near future?
Yeah, Arthur, that's a great question, and you're right. We do have a larger fleet of vehicles right now because they are here for the east and west extensions. So you're absolutely right. Right now, we're focused on our current service levels, our current service, and getting our fleet back to normal operations. We're not into trial running yet, and I know I've been saying at committee meetings and council that we're close to substantial completion of trial running, but we're not there yet. So our focus is on the current service delivery. But as we move into the east and west extensions, more vehicles will be required for not only trial running, but for revenue service.
So just to follow up on that before I move to my next question, like, if this problem is not resolved in close order and we continue to have to replace these at every 100,000 kilometers, would you expect that to have a direct impact on the timeline for the east extension?
Right now I think it's too early to tell. We're still finalizing all our plans, working through with our maintainer RTG on, what that looks like in terms of their supply chain, what they can handle in terms of replacements, the anticipated level of kilometers that we place on the vehicles on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So we're mapping all those things out right now. But I can assure everyone that our collective focus is on returning to service as quickly as possible, and being ready for the east and west extensions. But a lot of work needs to happen, and as I said, the situation is fluid. But we're working very proactively, and the entire team is engaged in getting back to normal service levels as quickly as we can.
Okay, and for my second question, can you update us on the progress of the redesign of the bearing assembly that Alstom is supposed to be doing? Is that still ongoing? Do you have any recent updates on the progress? And could that play into the solution to the problems that you're dealing with right now?
That's a good question, and we can get into a little bit more detail on that at the technical briefing when I have our engineers with us. But RTG continues to advance the sustainable solution to the axle bearing assembly issue. That work is ongoing. I know that an update is required, and we'll be able to provide that shortly. So the work on that sustainable solution is ongoing, and from the city's expectation, and we've talked about this, that we believe an axle redesign is required in order to meet those, in order to ensure a long-term, sustainable, reliable, and safe service. This issue, it's a new issue, but it is part of that cartridge bearing assembly. So the ongoing investigation analysis into this new issue, it will inform what that ultimate sustainable solution and potential redesign looks like.
Okay, thank you. Next is Ted Raymond from CT.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So my first question for you, Mr. Charter, is just with regarding, you mentioned some outside vendors for some of the refurbishment for the buses. Councillor Menard was saying on social media that some of the buses are being sent out of town. Can you explain what's involved in that? Are we sending buses to other municipalities to kind of leverage some additional mechanics there? And if that's the case, how many and how long is that going to take to get those buses back to Ottawa?
Okay, thank you for the question, Ted. We're doing everything and everything that we can to get our fleet levels back to where we want on the bus side of things. Maximizing the work with our teams here. You've heard more medium to longer term actions, recruiting more mechanics, investing in an apprentice program that's been ongoing for a couple of years. All those things are going, but part of this as well is leveraging outside vendors to get some work done. And we're leveraging all the local vendors here to help us return our buses back to service. And they're at capacity, and a lot of those outside vendors are dealing with some of the same struggles we are in terms of recruiting mechanics and the supply of the skilled trades. So yeah, but as I said, we're exploring everything. So yes, we are sending some buses to to other properties in Ontario or other vendors. I don't think it's other transit properties, other vendors. We're at the early stages of that. We've only sent one bus so far. We want to see what their performance is, and should should they produce good results, we'd be looking at sending more buses on a regular basis to them. But this is all part of our short and long-term strategy to maintain the health of their vehicles while we onboard new vehicles and replace some of those aging ones that are causing the most problems for us.
Okay, so only one bus has been sent outside of Ottawa yet for
so far,
far.
but as I said, you know, if the performance is good and they meet our expectations, you know, we want to leverage that as much as possible.
Okay. My second question also has to do with the buses, with regard to seeking additional used buses. You've gone through other municipalities in the past to kind of bolster the fleet. And you say that there is still conversations going on. Who are you talking with, and approximately how many buses? Can you say what you're looking to acquire in the near term?
Right now, I'm just looking at what the feasibility is in terms of what buses are available. You know, there need to be buses that are you know, that will have similar technology that we have on our buses in terms of our GPS and radios, and be able to equip with Presto, those types of things. And we also want to make sure that the buses that we procure are going to be reliable for us. You know, the last thing we want to do is procure a bus that's, you know, 15, 16, 17 years old and puts us in the same state that we are right now. So we are engaging in conversations with anyone and everyone who has buses that may be available. And we've recently been in touch with another property that indicate that they may have some buses, and our team is currently investigating that right now. We want to see what the feasibility is. But you know, at that, you know, when we get to that point, we need to really look at, you know, what do we anticipate the reliability of those buses will be, how many years of life are left in those buses, and what we need to do, if in terms of retrofits, if any, to outfit them with the, you know, our technical requirements for our fleet here.
But can you say which properties or which municipalities you're talking to? Are you?
You know, as I said, at this point, you know, we've cast the net far and wide to speak to as many properties as possible. You know, we're across North America at this point, you know, both in Canada as well as the United States, in terms of where we're looking. But I don't want to comment at this point in terms of the specific property that we're talking about, who may have some additional used buses for us.
Thanks.
Sébastien Perros, le droit.
Sébastien Perros, le droit.
Ok.
Oh, hello.
Vous m'entendez, merci.
Can you
Ma
hear me?
question,
My
vous
question
avez
is
dit,
the
il me semble
following.
que vous souhaitez
You said
rétablir la
that
fréquence,
you
améliorer la
wanted
fréquence. Est-ce que c'est
to
bien ça?
restore the frequency of buses and trains as quickly as possible. Can you answer, please? That's what we're trying to do. We've increased the frequency of trains today. Yesterday, we were up to 4 or 5 minutes. Today, it's every 3 to 4 minutes at peak times.
Ok.
All right, thank you.
Ma deuxième question, est-ce que
Second
il y a une
question
pression
now.
qui est posée par
Is there pressure being brought to bear?
avec est-ce que les incidents sur la ligne 1 posent une pression
Well, the
supplémentaire
incident
sur le
on
parc à
line
bus?
1, are they bringing more pressure to bear on the bus system? At this stage, no. We're in a position to manage the need on line 1. We have enough capacity, despite the fact that there's a lot of people in the trains. They're very busy. Today, we saw that the platforms and the stations were at normal levels. So right now, we're able to accommodate all passengers, all riders on line 1.
Merci.
Thank you.
Aidan Hilmer from the Ottawa
Merci
Citizen.
beaucoup.
Hello. I'm just hoping you can hear me there.
Again, Aidan, thank you.
Great. I'm just wondering if you can speak about the extent of the conversations that you've had with RTG and with Alstom, specifically about the cost of this, and whether this has to be paid out of the OC Transpo budget, or whether that is coming from any other sources from the manufacturer at all.
You know, at this time, we're asking our contractor RTG to adhere to the terms of the project agreement. It's a performance-based contract, and they're responsible for ensuring that the vehicles, the trains, the infrastructure operates in accordance with the performance specifications. So we're holding them to account to rectify the issue at their cost, not the city's.
Okay, and I wanted to ask, I think it may have been asked in French, but on the possibility of implementing the R1 service and the potential increased strain on an already aging fleet of buses that this might contribute to.
Okay, Joel, I'll let you take that one as well.
Sure. We certainly don't want to impact our bus customers any more than they have been already. And currently, the capacity is sufficient on line 1 with the number of vehicles that we have. We were able to increase the frequency today to every 3 to 4 minutes. And we saw that worked quite well. The volumes on the platforms were typically what we would see on a typical rush hour, although it is a little bit more full on board the trains, and that's not ideal for our customers, obviously. And we want to work towards increasing that capacity, but right now the frequency is quite good, and we can manage all of our customers that would normally take line 1 on the rail line.
Thank you.
Et finalement, Frédéric Tapin, Radio-Canada.
Frédéric Pépin, Radio-Canada, to finish. Hello, Mr. Charter. I have 2 questions for you. Before I ask my questions, I'm looking at the tables that you sent out. Thank you. It's great information. Thanks very much for that. It's not clear for me how many vehicles you need to provide a regular peak service. 25, 26, is it around that? About 26 trains. Okay, fine, great. 13 doubles, 26 singles. My first question, Mr. Charter, is the following. There were 18 that have been in service since you made the announcement, and now you're saying that Monday there'll be 20. How much time does it take to repair one of these trains? You've repaired 2, it appears, between yesterday and now. How long does it take to repair a train? Answer. Well, it takes about a full day for to replace an axle. I'm sorry, no, they can do 2 axles a day. All right, 2 axles, that's 1 bogie, and there are 5 bogies on 1 train, right? So 10 axles per train. Okay, right. Okay, I understand you now. Second question for you, Mr. Charter, is the following. Our colleagues in Montreal held an interview yesterday with Mr. Michael Kiroulet. He's the president of Alstom in North America. And they asked Mr. Kiroulet from Alstom, well, look, OC Transpo has withdrawn 2/3 of its fleet. There are problems with the axle bearings. What are you doing to deal with that situation? Mr. Kiroulet told our colleagues in Montreal that it's not a critical issue. It's the city, out of an abundance of care, that's actually decided to withdraw the trains. He seems to be saying it's not a huge problem. How would you answer that or respond to that? Well, our maintenance partner told us or declared that the vehicles can be used safely, but as I mentioned earlier, we take a very careful approach at OC Transpo. We're working with experts, and we're looking for additional information from RTG and Alstom to validate the safety of the fleet. That's what we're looking for. They've told us that the fleet is safe, but we want more information to make sure that it is in fact safe.
Given that we've had the derailments, given we already have a cartridge bearing assembly, we're doing our due diligence. We're speaking with experts, and we want to know for certain. Show us what gives you the certainty that the vehicles are safe, because we owe that to our customers. And that's what we're pushing hard on. And at this point, when that information and those new maintenance processes weren't in place, we said, we're gonna pause the fleet. We're gonna be extra cautious. I hope Alstom and RTG are right, but I want to see the information, and I think that's what our customers expect from us.
I don't know. I just want to ask you one more on this, and I'll go in English because it's quite technical. But everybody is telling us that it's a load issue, too heavy for the cartridges, and the cartridges can't take the load. The trains are bigger than what the bogie were made for, And that's what the issue. Those are what the experts are telling us. Alstom today sent me an email saying you got to be careful. We don't know the root cause of this. Is it true that we don't know the root cause that caused the first derailment in the first place, and that now could be being a problem into this? Is it true that nobody knows what the root cause is?
So, Frederick, we'll get into that level of detail at our technical briefing, but we know what's failing. That's certain, right? What is the exact cause of what's the failure mode? That is still an ongoing discussion between RTG and Alstom. But we know what's failing. And then what happened recently is we've got, a new failure mode within the same component. It's different components, right? So there is still some uncertainty in terms of what that exact root cause is, but we know exactly what's failing. And they're advancing their plans and to be able to address that in terms of, what's that going to be that sustainable solution moving forward. The city's expectation, it is a redesign.
Parfait. Merci tout le monde. This concludes our media availability.
Katrina, sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. I know before we go, is it okay if we get Charter to just repeat what he said to Frederic in English, just with regard to how many axles per day can be repaired and how many axles are per train, just to kind of get in English, just to kind of get an idea for a clip?
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, so we've been advised by our maintainer that they can, replace 2 axles per day. And on each train, there's 5 bogies, which have 2 axles. So on each train, there's 10 axles that would require to be looked at. Not every axle has the same mileage, and not every axle will exceed 100,000 kilometers. So you have some trains in which you need to look at 1 axle. Some trains you need to look at 2 or 3 axles. And we're asking them, obviously, to prioritize the ones that only require 1 axle replacement to get under that 100,000 kilometers.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Merci tout le monde.
Thank you.